Hello everyone. In the previous two videos, I have discussed about the biotechnological application in agriculture. Biotechnological applications in agriculture, where two main topics I have discussed about BT cotton and then the development of a pest resistance in plant, that is development of a pest resistant plant by introduction of a gene for RNA interference. Now in this video I am going to discuss about biotechnological applications in medicine. Biotechnological applications in medicine. Now here when we talk about medicine, two main aspects are there. The first one is a diagnosis and the second one is about the treatment. First of all, we should know as to why a person is ill, what kind of trouble, why it has been caused, and as a result of that, a proper kind of treatment can be provided to the patient. So here, the use of biotechnology in the field of medicine is basically for diagnosis and then treatment. Here we will be discussing about three main topics. First one is about the genetically engineered insulin. Second one is about the gene therapy. And the third one we have to discuss is about molecular diagnosis. As the name suggests over here, diagnosis, to find out as to the reason, as to why a sickness or illness is caused. So in that first two topics, that is genetically engineered insulin and the second one is about gene therapy. In this we have to discuss about the treatment and then we will discuss about the diagnosis. So what happens here in case of the application of biotechnology in medicine? What has happened here is that the application of recombinant DNA technology, you can say, or genetic engineer, or simply application of biotechnological techniques. Now it has helped us, it has enabled us to produce some therapeutic drugs which are not only safe but also it is more effective for the treatment of a particular kind of disorder or particular kind of disease. Once again, the application over here we are talking about application of recombinant DNA technology, or otherwise same thing can be referred to as biotechnology or genetic engineering. Now the use of these techniques have enabled us for large scale production of safe and also at the same time more effective therapeutic drugs which are used for the treatment of a particular kind of disease. And due to that it has made a great impact. It has made great impact or otherwise significant impact in the area of healthcare. As earlier I mentioned, in healthcare or in medicine, two main aspects are there. One is the diagnosis and the second one is about the treatment. Now here it is also important to mention here that this recombinant DNA technology which is used to produce or which has been used to produce some therapeutics, and that also recombinant therapeutics, it has been developed in such a way that it does not cause any kind of side effects. It does not cause any unwanted immunological responses. If you remember, immunological response here refers to some kind of side effects. Let us say take one example like allergical reactions because of taking the therapeutic drugs which has been developed through the use of biotechnology. So here we are talking about what? That the method has been used here to develop a recombinant therapeutics, and these recombinant therapeutics does not cause any kind of immunological responses or side effects, as it is observed in some other products or some other drugs or medicines which are actually isolated from some organisms other than human being, as it is observed commonly in case of similar products isolated from non-human sources. We will be discussing when we come to this next topic what is the genetically engineered insulin. At that time we will discuss earlier how insulin was obtained or from where it was obtained for use in case of the diabetes. That is, you understand what is diabetes, in which what happens, the pancreas is not able to produce sufficient quantity or concentration of the hormone insulin. Now here, throughout the world about 30 different recombinant therapeutics have been approved for human use. Once again, at present about 30 recombinant therapeutics have been approved throughout the world, out of which 12 are presently being marketed in our country India also. Now here, the first one we have to discuss here in this video, I am going to discuss about genetically engineered insulin. There are some questions pertaining to this topic. After discussing the whole topic, we will be in a condition to answer these questions. The first question is, what would a diabetic patient do if enough human insulin was not available? Suppose that human insulin was not available in sufficient quantity, or insufficient quantities available, and so in that condition what would a diabetic patient do? Now you know that wherever you go into the medical stores, you will be able to easily find insulin for human use. But if suppose it was not available, then the second question is, would the insulin isolated from other animals be just as effective as that secreted by human? Once again, would the insulin isolated from other animals be just as effective as that secreted by the human body itself? And would it not elicit an immune response in the human body if suppose that we are using insulin that has been isolated from some other non-human being? Means non-human means apart from human being, some other animals, their hormone or insulin hormone is obtained, let us say, from cattle. So will it be able to function like the human insulin does? Will it not cause any kind of side effects? And the third question is, think about whether insulin can be orally administered to diabetic people or not. Orally means what? Through the mouth, how we take tablets. Very similar to that. Can insulin be taken by oral method? If yes or if no, why? So here let me answer this last question, that it is or it cannot be taken. If at all, let us say that we take or the insulin is given to a diabetic patient, that in that case, first it will be taken through the mouth, then it moves to the stomach, intestine, where in the intestine absorption has to take place, and then it has to be transported to different part of the body. Now when this is actually protein, this is protein, when it is going to pass through the alimentary canal, different enzymes are there which are responsible for the digestion. So what will happen to this protein? It might be digested. So as a result of that, the function that it has to perform, that purpose will not be solved. The purpose of taking or administering this insulin hormone is to control the blood glucose level in the body. But if suppose it is being digested, then that means it is not going to perform its function. So let us see little bit about insulin. Little bit of history part here about insulin. In 1916, in 1916, 1916, in 1916, Sharpie Schaefer estimated or expressed that diabetes is caused by insufficient secretion of insulin, and that also insufficient secretion of insulin from where? From the beta cells of islets of Langerhans, which is located in the pancreas. Once again, this opinion was expressed by Sharpie Schaefer in 1916, and the name insulin was also given by Sharpie Schaefer. Then later on in 1921, Banting and Best with the help of MacLeod, they were able to extract insulin from the islets of Langerhans of pancreas that was taken from a dog. Once again, who was that? Banting and Best with the help of MacLeod. They extracted the insulin from pancreatic islets of a dog, and then they demonstrated that diabetes can be cured or could be cured by administration of insulin in human being. Human being has diabetes. This diabetes can be cured if insulin was given to him or her. So in that case over here, that insulin should be provided at some interval of time, means some regular interval of time. What happens here? To the diabetic patient, insulin has to be provided, or let us say that diabetes patient has to take insulin at a regular interval of time. Let us say once daily or twice daily, whatever is prescribed by the physician. So there was over here need, when it was felt that diabetes can be cured by the administration of insulin. So that means over here there was a need to isolate and use insulin from any other animal, because the human being, particular person, is not able to, or the body is not able to synthesize this. As a result of that, this insulin has to be provided from some external sources, and that external sources can be some other animal. So what happened here earlier? The insulin that was given to human being, that is human patient, a diabetic patient, that was extracted from the pancreas of slaughtered cattle and pigs. And slaughtered pigs and cattle means what? It is, the source is becoming here non-human. The source is becoming here non-human, and then this insulin which was isolated from the pancreas of cattle and the pigs was given to the diabetic patient. Now this insulin is slightly different. This insulin is slightly different from human insulin. And because of that, what happened? It caused some side effects, some undesirable effect it caused. That means here we are talking about some side effects in the form of, let us say, allergy here was caused because this insulin was extracted first of all from non-human animal, let us over here cattle and the pigs, and this insulin was slightly different from the human insulin, and due to that it caused some side effects in some patients, not all patients, some patients. So again there was a need over here to find out some alternative sources through which insulin can be available and this insulin could be made available to the patients of diabetes. Means diabetic patient के लिए provide करना पड़ेगा. So that was little bit of history part, background part. Now let us see some information about insulin as to how many amino acids are present in the hormone insulin, how many polypeptide chains are involved here, which bond is holding the two polypeptide chains over here. So first of all, the gene, let us see here. Insulin, the gene which is responsible for the synthesis of insulin hormone, this is located on chromosome number 11. The gene which is responsible for the synthesis of insulin is located on chromosome number 11. Here we are talking about human insulin, and human insulin is made up of two polypeptide chain. This is made up of two polypeptide chain, and altogether the number of amino acid that are present on these two polypeptide chain, total I am talking here, are 51 amino acid. Now here the two polypeptide chains can be called as chain A and chain B. Chain A has 20 amino acid. Have a look on this figure also. Here peptide A or A peptide has 20 amino acid, and peptide B, or let us say chain B, has 31 amino acid. So when you add up together here, this is going to become 20 plus 31 as 51 amino acid. That means over here what happens, now the question is that how these two polypeptides will remain together in order to be reactive, in order to be functional, so that it is able to control or lower the blood glucose level. It is able to lower the blood glucose level. It is necessary that these two chains should be held together in order to make it effective, functional. So what is important to note down here, that these two chains, chain A and B, they are held together by two disulfide bonds or disulfide linkage. In the figure, just note down here, S is written here, S and S over here. So this is one disulfide link and this is another one. Either you call it bridge or bond or linkage. That means disulfide bond two are there, which is holding both the polypeptide chains. And as a result of that, this insulin is able to lower down the blood glucose level. Now in case of animals and also in case of human, including human, in case of any mammals, including the human being, what happens here, that when insulin is synthesized, actually three different chains are synthesized, and as a result of that, this insulin which is having the three chains is called as proinsulin. It is called as proinsulin, or simply called as prohormone. Proinsulin or otherwise prohormone. Now this contains what I said, three chains or three polypeptide chain, A, B, and one more stretch is there, that is C peptide, or you can say simply as chain C. Now that means what, this prohormone or proinsulin has to undergo processing. If you remember earlier in the previous chapter, we have discussed about processing of hnRNA, and after the processing of hnRNA, functional messenger RNA is synthesized or produced, now which is able to code for the protein synthesis, that means translation. hnRNA directly do not take part in the process of protein synthesis. Very similar to that, here we are just talking about processing here. That means once again, proinsulin or prohormone is there, which has to undergo a process of processing here, so that what happens, the three chains are separated first of all. Out of that, chain A and B has to be linked with each other by two disulfide link or disulfide bonds over here. And the third chain is there which has to be removed, so that what happens, in the mature insulin hormone only two chains are present. Now in case of the third chain, C peptide here, total number of amino acids are 33, and this is removed from the mature form of the insulin hormone. So what happens here, once again, the extra C peptide chain is removed during its processing to form a fully mature and functional insulin hormone, and this fully functional hormone contains only 51 amino acid. That means peptide A is having 20 amino acid and peptide B is having 31 amino acids. So total 51 amino acids over here. Now here that means what? So what happens here, that application of biotechnological technique, which can also be called as recombinant DNA technology. In short, rDNA means what? Recombinant DNA technology was a possible option. Means what? We have discussed that there was an understanding that diabetes can be cured by providing insulin to the diabetic patient. So how that can be made available? So that has to be obtained from some other animals, but it caused some allergic reaction. So there was another option, and that is, we are talking here recombinant DNA technology or biotechnology technique or biotechnological technique, which can provide or which can be used here, so that what happens, insulin hormone, that also human insulin can be synthesized and then it is made available to the diabetic patient, so that the sugar, that is the glucose level, can be controlled. That is, management of over here diabetes is possible by use of recombinant DNA technology in order to produce insulin hormone by use of some, let us say, microorganism here, and specifically bacteria like E. coli. Now how to produce or how to synthesize this human insulin? There was a challenge here. Main challenge was that in the production of insulin by the use of the technique of recombinant DNA technology, how to assemble the mature form. That means how to attach or otherwise link the two chains of the polypeptide here, chain A and chain B, how they should be linked. Now the search was done by a company of America which is called as Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly in the year 1983. Eli Lilly, a company of America, that means American company here, it was able to prepare two different sequences of the corresponding A and B chain. Means over here, let us say that one gene over here. In that, what happened here, one stretch is there which is able to synthesize the polypeptide A, the other stretch that is able to synthesize chain B. So these two chains over here, that is the DNA sequence corresponding to these two chain synthesis, was isolated from human cell, and then this was introduced into the plasmid of E. coli bacteria. First of all, once again, the two chains A and B, which is supposed to be synthesized, and then both of them are linked together by two disulfide bond. So these two stretch, that is the DNA sequence which is corresponding to the chain A and B, are separately isolated and then introduced separately into plasmid, and these plasmids were inserted or introduced into E. coli bacteria, so that E. coli bacteria can produce the insulin chains, chain A and chain B, and after that these two chains are linked with disulfide bond or disulfide linking is done here. After inserting gene for insulin production in bacteria, it was possible to grow a large quantity of bacteria in large culture volume where the bacteria are able to synthesize and make us available with human insulin. Once again, what I said earlier, that the DNA sequence which is corresponding to chain A and B of insulin hormone, both of these sequences were separately linked with the plasmid and then introduced into E. coli bacteria, where E. coli bacteria was cultured, and that also in large volume, so that large quantity of this chain A and chain B were synthesized, and then these two chains were synthesized separately first of all, and then these are extracted, purified, and after purification they were linked together. They were linked together by creating a disulfide bond. That is, by creating two disulfide bond. Just have a look in this here. Let us say that one chain is here, A chain, and the chain that is over here, lower one, this is the B chain. Now both of them are linked together with disulfide bond. Two disulfide bonds are here. One is here and one is this other one. And now this is fully functional or active insulin. There is one more disulfide bond here on the top, you can see. That means this disulfide linking is present only in the chain A. It is not present in B, but in between A and B there are two disulfide linkage. Once again, let me repeat what happened. The two chains A and B, they were produced separately, and then they were extracted and purified, and both of them were linked together. Both of these chains were linked together by two disulfide bonds or disulfide linking over here. And as a result of that, a fully functional insulin was available, which is named as humulin. Same thing what I have just now discussed. Let's just have a revision point wise as to how this procedure is done, so that human insulin is available and then provided to the diabetic patients. It involves the following steps here, whatever we have discussed till now. First one is the isolation of the DNA segment. That is, donor DNA segment means what? The cell from where the insulin gene was isolated. So both the segments here for chain A and for chain B, isolation of this DNA segment was done first of all. And then this was linked with the plasmid DNA, that is acting like a vector here. Plasmid DNA is acting like a vector. So as a result of that, when this linking of plasmid vector and the segment of the DNA which is responsible for the synthesis of chain A and B, it is linked to separate plasmids. So as a result of that, recombinant DNA is constructed. And in this process of construction of recombinant DNA, you have learnt the use of this enzyme is necessary. With the help of same restriction enzyme or restriction endonuclease, what happens? The plasmid DNA and the DNA of insulin are treated. As a result of that, sticky ends are created and recombinant DNA is constructed. The next one is, after the production of recombinant DNA, what happens here? Now it has to be cloned. Means this recombinant DNA has to be cloned in multiple copies, in large amount or large number, so that it can be used later for the introduction into E. coli bacterial cell. What is that? Multiple copies of this recombinant DNA are produced by cloning it and then introducing this rDNAs into E. coli bacterial cell. And after that, screening has to be done, or selection has to be done, as to which bacteria have become now transformed, which bacteria have accepted this recombinant DNA so that they can be grown in large volume. They can be cultured in large quantity so that they are able to produce chain A and B separately, and then after that purification, separation, purification, and then the linkage. That linkage is disulfide bond has to be linked over here. So that is the two chains has to be linked with disulfide bond so that a fully functional and mature form of insulin is ready. Whatever I have just now discussed here point wise, same thing, let's have a look here with the help of this figure also. What I have discussed just now, that two different plasmids are taken, and in this the insulin gene that is producing insulin gene that produces the chain A and chain B over here. That's why insulin gene A subunit, insulin gene B subunit. Both of them are separately linked to the plasmid vector. And then that means what? When the linking is done here, linking of the plasmid vector with the foreign gene, and that foreign gene over here is the A subunit and the B subunit of insulin. And then that means what? These two are now recombinant DNA. Now this recombinant DNA has to be cloned and then introduced into the host, and that host used over here is E. coli bacteria. As a result of that, what happens in the bacterial cell? These genes are going to express, and as a result of that they are going to synthesize the chain A and B separately, and these two chains are going to be purified, separated, and what happened? Both the chains are linked together with the help of disulfide bond or disulfide bridge here. And as a result of that, when these two chains A and B are linked with the disulfide bridge, now this insulin hormone is now ready for use, and that also used for whom? Diabetic patients, because they need the insulin hormone. Now here one more thing we have to note. If you remember, in the previous chapter we have discussed about blue-white screening. So same thing over here, if you have noted down, beta galactosidase gene is here. Beta galactosidase is an enzyme. So here what happens? Beta galactosidase gene is present in the plasmid in which the gene for insulin has been inserted. So that what happens here? Isolation, and first of all, before isolation, identification is possible. That means what? Over here the gene responsible for the synthesis of beta galactosidase is being utilized here as a selectable marker. So here what happens? The protein chain, here we are talking about the insulin chain A and B. Both of them are produced, and at the same time the enzyme, that is what? The enzyme beta galactosidase is also synthesized. But here in this process, beta galactosidase enzyme is not the product for which recombinant DNA technology is being used. We are talking about this topic of synthesis of protein here, and that protein is insulin here. So that means here the insulin chains has to be purified. It has to be separated from the beta cell galactosidase here. And as a result of that, after obtaining the two chains A and B separately, and then after linking together, linking both the chains here with the help of disulfide bridge or disulfide bond, a functional insulin is obtained, which is purified and packed, and it is available by the name humulin, means human insulin. But by convention now also we use insulin only. We use the name as insulin only. So that was about genetically engineered insulin. I hope so you have got the answer to this question. Let's just see, what would a diabetic patient do if enough insulin was not available, and that also human insulin. So in the beginning this was the case where what happened, the insulin was extracted from the pancreas of slaughtered pigs and cattle. But later on what happened, 1983, genetic engineering was used, and then the insulin that is available is genetically engineered, and it is available in sufficient quantity. Wherever you go, you will be able to find it. The second question, would the insulin isolated from other animals be just as effective as that secreted by human body itself? So this we have already discussed, that what happened in some patient, some diabetic patient developed some allergical reaction, and due to that there was again a need to find out some alternative, and that alternative was found out by Eli Lilly Company of America in 1983, and due to that humulin was synthesized by the use of recombinant DNA technology. So that was genetically engineered insulin. Thank you.